NoRunes respond with a Wraith King here. This is interesting to me because there is a Bat Rider in this game. And I feel like Bat
Yeah.
Rider kind of owns Wraith King and lane a little bit. You do have the Enchantress, of course, but with like the enchants, but like Bat Rider Marcy is a terrifying
10
lane to play into.
seconds.
And
Yeah,
there's like
no, that is
only
not
Wraith
fun.
Fire Blast.
5 seconds
Yeah,
remain.
and even like dialing it back a step, there's a Magnus in the first phase. There's another Dark Bull picked up. Like something's going on here for Team No Runes, and I don't know what necessarily it is. If this is really going to be their kind of best shot at winning, and I'm like looking back, see if they picked this yesterday, and it's just like nope, straight up they didn't go for this. They went for much more normal heroes the other day versus
It's
Wolf Team, but
turn to ban.
I guess they just feel like this is maybe they're gonna be their easy path to victory, but
Times
Mag
ban.
Enchantress versus Marcy opener. It's just it's so different. It's almost bewildering. But maybe they want the Wraith King just because they want a hero that, at least in essence, is unrupturable. You can't do it on the first life. It's literally just a waste. So that means that all the ruptures are now going to fall on your Magnus, making your Magnus's game
10
impossible.
seconds
Which
remaining.
means your Wraith King has to do every. I don't know. I'm not a believer right now
It's
for No Roads.
turn
I'm
to
very
ban.
concerned, and I think they're gonna have to solve a lot of issues with Guts' hero here. Unfortunately, I think the two best heroes that Guts could have looked for are kind of taken out already. They kind of know what's going on right here.
Yeah, Puck and Ember would have been very good this game, but see what they can end up doing. I
10
mean, the
seconds
co-op's already
remaining.
banned as well, which is one of those things
Hmm.
where they could just flex the Bat Rider to the mid lane. He doesn't have too many
5
bad matchups left in the
seconds.
pool. The Zeus is really one of the only other ones that like kind of just owns you and gets to free farm. But if you wanted to like last pick an off lane here, you definitely could. But Bat Rider's perfectly happy playing off lane with Marcy into this Wraith King Enchantress. Like I feel like this is just a super easy lane for him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and if they did
Dire's
want to turn
turn to
everything
pick.
around and I suppose look for an offlaner here, as they are assuming that it is going to be that Bat Rider on the mid lane, there's still a Death Prophet, there's still a Razor. There are so many great heroes they can pair with the Marcy still. I don't want to, say like there's a Vipers on the pool, but if they really wanted to, they could pick it,
10
even though I think
seconds.
Vipers kind of had his day in the sun. Now it's time for Viper to sleep for a good
5
while. That feels
Yeah,
so
they need
seconds
bad
some
now.
remaining.
stuns too, I think, right? Like you need like a
Minions
beefy
turn to
like
pick.
hero if you're gonna pick an off laner. Okay.
Hmm.
Honestly, this could be either. This could be mid or safe lane. Or mid or off lane.
Yeah, no, and I don't mind it in the slides. I think Wraith King versus Pango can be tough at times, especially if you get kind of unlucky and you get clipped early on in your roll or your swashbuckle
10
out. But at
seconds
the same
remain.
time, yeah, he doesn't really care. I think they are going to flex it regardless of
5
what
seconds.
we see Guts actually end up slotting in here. But yeah, I feel like they're super confident. The only hero that I could maybe see if they really feel confident, I know Guts is a very confident mid laner, could they do the SF and then they force the Batrider to go mid and the Pango has to go off lane? I don't know. I
That
kind of
actually would
like
be pretty
this
good.
I kind of like this new form of drafting where it's like last pick SF is not a bad choice anymore. It's
Yeah.
actually pretty sick nowadays.
It's a really good call because I think most of the time we've seen Lil Nick play the Bat Rider for the side of the cut. And this would
Mhm.
really kind of mix things up for them. You definitely can't run the Pango into the mid lane SF. It's just not viable at all. And it's a decent SF game. Like he kind of just goes right click damage, and there's not a lot that they can do once he has BKB.
Yeah, and it's one of those games where even if you get ruptured, you're still effectively just a
Yeah,
turret. You just sit
yeah,
there and ache like, and
exactly.
then if you are getting ruptured, then your Magnus can get the RP whenever the Bloodseeker approaches you, and then bad stuff happens. That's the most obvious hero pick that I could see. They wanted something that could give more initiation as
Storm
okay.
Spirit. Your
Well,
hero.
no SF, the classic Mr. Gene's most played hero of all time,
The
Storm Spirit
storm.
is going to be the choice, but I don't know. I like the SF a lot more. I think now that Nico is going to be at least a little bit more confident, that lane can still fall into Storm Spirit's favor pretty easily, especially if you actually pull him again out of the swashbuckle. It's one of those unfortunate circumstances where if you're banking on that for not dying or for regen, you can kind of get shoved aside. But I don't know. Storm is a hero that has a lot of questions put beneath him. It's a pretty free Storm Spirit game. There's not too many lockdowns. There's not too many inherent silences. It's one of the nice things about it. But at the same time, you just don't have a lot of mana to work with. You pretty much have to play a perfect Storm game for this hero to work in comp.
Yeah, that's what I'm a little bit worried about.
10
Is
seconds.
I don't feel like Mini is gonna have much of a lane at all,
5
like at all. So it's pretty much up to
seconds.
Guts to like kind of make space in this mid game. Magnus takes a moment to come online. Usually, we saw the cut actually play it yesterday. He went for like the mana boots into mech and just went like, definite auras for his team. I don't really see that being the Magnus build this game. So I'm a little bit curious into what they want to do here. I like the Cuts draft actually quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I think they've got a lot of balance. I think they've got Nico on one of his most comfortable heroes. They've got a lot of actually comfortable heroes for really the entire squad. Where I think
Yeah.
NoRunes, they're gonna have a lot more trouble executing. They don't have those free plays that we like to talk about in drafts. Everything is going to be really hard to kind of put together for them. And you say, okay, well, they don't have Mars plus Dark Will. They don't have easy damage plus the Magnus. It feels like they're really banking a lot on the lanes. And of course, when we talk about NA, and they love to win their lanes. They love to draft for those easy wins.
Yep.
And I feel like really they are going to win their lanes.
Yeah, I'd agree. There's not a lot of pressure they can apply to the Bloodseeker here. He should be pretty much chilling. Yeah, the only lane that's going to be questionable is mid, like Nico's Pangolier into this Storm Spirit. It's not a great lane, obviously. Maybe we were paused this whole time. I was wondering what was taking so long. It's not a great lane for the Pango. It's manageable to an extent, but I feel like these side lanes are going to be pretty good for the side of the cut. And little Nick, I mean, we've seen him play as Bat Rider multiple times. If he gets off to a good start on this hero, he can definitely take over the game. And there's not a lot of options in terms of like heroes that can stop him from really just doing exactly that.
Yeah, it's where it becomes a no-fly zone. You cannot go to the Bat Rider's lane after a certain point, especially not the Wraith King. And we'll have to see what main decides to go for. Build-wise, I feel like it just has to be almost the Armlet, even just Blightstone Blink. I feel like depending on when he gets his Blink Dagger is going to be so important. Because what almost needs to happen for these team fights to go off without a hitch is the Storm zips in, he pulls, Mini goes in, and then the Storm leaves and lets Mini do the rest of the job. Because if you stick around for too long, it's so easy to get punished by Pango unless he is that target.
Oh, Mini! Oh, he was not paying attention.
No.
He gets caught, and that is going to be first blood here on to... Ooh, Pingu takes it. Not really the hero you want to grab it, but... Yeah, you don't really expect a deep wraparound there sometimes, and ends up paying off big. They get themselves a kill onto the Wraith King. I actually think the ward is bottom there, but it is not.
Well, and hey, that's 4 more mangoes for Pingu. I wish he bought 4 more mangoes.
He did not buy 4 more mangoes, right? Oh my god, okay, he bought a stick and a single mango.
He bought a stick and a mango, but can you imagine that? Infinite power, honestly. But battle for the runes, and I feel like the cut aren't even going to get necessarily too gypped here. Should be 2 for 2. Ooh. Yeah, Nick's gonna maybe take damage though.
I mean, Nick's in a lot of trouble here. He stayed in for this one. Gonna make it out on just a sliver. I mean, is he gonna make it out? 30 HP? Yeah, he will survive, but I mean, this is super rough. This offlane now is gonna be a little difficult. He ends up having to toss the salve on over to his Bat Rider, which never feels good.
No, and they're sticking around, and okay, finally, you see Hannes make his way out towards that top lane, but yeah, we'll have to see what Srem's actually able to do here. He's gonna make his teammates' life so much easier, but one misstep, and we've seen what B-God's been able to do, especially with those body blocks, and it looks like, okay,
B-God
overstepped.
staying a little bit too far. Yeah, that is just going to be the enchant. Just way too good at holding these people in place.
No, and Strike, while they are at those low levels, before Nick can really make anything happen, where the Bat Rider does kind of need to wait for those power spikes, but you've also already given so many stick charges to the survivors from that previous engagement, so they kind of have to wait for another play.
That's true. And Nick, like you said, Nick needs levels. Yeah, he actually can't really do anything until he gets like this level 2, and Serum and Mini, they've already hit theirs. They've got like plenty of denies in this lane already. All right, let's talk about the mid lane. We've got Nico versus Guts. We've got the Pango versus the Storm Spirit. That's pretty good.
Nico's
pretty even
kinda
so
getting
far,
blocked.
but actually, never mind. No, Guts is kind of owning.
Yeah, it's kind of the fear and the respect you do have to give him. Unfortunately, in this matchup, you can't really ever afford to just plainly shield crash. Otherwise, stuff like this happens, and Nico just ends up eating so much damage, and this is not what you like. You want to be actively trading whenever you have that shield crash buff, but now you're just going to get right-clicked down. You're going to have to tank all these creeps under tower, and then you're going to retroactively take even more damage, while Guts is just kind of laughing. But this is why he likes this hero. This is why he wants this hero pretty much every time he gets it, because he can just do this to you.
Yeah, he doesn't even he does not have his bottle yet on Nico. He just knows he has to take the water rune or else it's just gonna go to the storm spirit anyways. So it's coming out slowly on this mid courier, but yeah, he is super struggling. This is gonna be kind of the nature of the beast, I think, in this mid lane matchup. Oh my gosh.
Guts
Oh my gosh.
Guts is just he's just a monster.
I mean, those were some super high high damage rolls there, with no high ground miss either.
Yeah, and well, I think, you know, it only gets better from Nico coming, you know, the higher and more damage his spells do actually end up doing. But this is also one of Guts' 2 heroes, arguably. Some people say he has 3, but Lina, Storm Spirit, Invoker, that's been his cross to bear when it came to his pro career.
Yeah, it's true. Bottom lane, once again, we can talk about this one. Nick, now level 3 on the Batrider, kind of just holding one of his points. Again, with the enchant, it makes it really difficult for the Batrider to actually chase down these heroes, but you do have a Marcy that, rather than chase them down, they get brought to you instead, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Mini will just have to TP on out.
Very nice TP, but can't get away with that anymore. You got to be really careful here. Serum just got a pretty nice creep as well, but with the wave pushing so hard in, they do just get to kind of chill underneath the tower, at least for now. There's not much they can do, and actually, again...
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Mini, I guess he thought it was a little bit stronger than he was, and almost gets the crit off to finish off little Nick. The Warpine Raider ends up trading, so Sarah, I'm very happy about that one, but not too great. Meanwhile, mid lane, Nico getting shoved super far back. Guts takes a couple hits from the tower there, but still has that wand as well as the fairy fire. The 4-minute runes are here. Nico's like, I gotta get one, please. Oh, actually, never mind. B-God was not coming from the base. That's a super weird TP here.
Yeah, he's just
Do you think they can actually get Guts? Is that a thing?
Oh, they might, but
Vortex onto the Pango. Gets the swashbuckle away. Okay, well, B-God's gonna walk back base, and now he can't actually TP to refill bottle mid. So that was a very odd TP there, especially once he was getting the bottle refill on the water rune.
It feels a little bit strange, and then, you know, the other side.
And then the other mid laner.
Down. Yeah.
Yeah,
things are working a little bit differently in the NoRunes camp, but you know, it could be worse, and you are starting to get that little bit of recovery. And of course, the nice thing is once you hit level 6, it doesn't really matter too much. But without B-God, bottom lane is very vulnerable. And again, Warpine Raider just comes through the Pine Cone, just way too much damage. Even with the wave is so far up, you just die.
This creep needs to be nerfed. I'll be honest. Like, this is like probably my the most. This like takes me back to the Prowler camp in terms of how strong it is. It has so much armor, has so much health, so much damage. They're just not even like in terms of like it being enchanted or stolen. It's just like when you want a jungle and you see the Warpine Raider, you're like, oh, I guess I can't jungle now. Mini, another TP to get out of the damage here from the Batrider. Just classic, over and over and over.
Yeah, it just keeps on happening. I don't know. I feel like eventually we're gonna get to a spot where that doesn't happen, but that's for 6 minutes,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
For now, though, we're gonna see Nick level 5, getting close. I mean, this is the thing that is nice. He has been able to sit bottom solo for a decent amount of the time, so he is getting a lot of experience. Does have a death, or 2 deaths rather. But mid lane, or rather bottom, the mid lane are going to join the fray as Guts hits him with the Vortex, trying to give him the bonus move speed here, but Guts will burn him down. And boy, is he making the Storm Spirit look good.
Yep, and then he's going to rotate back. Unfortunately, there's no bounty rune for him to bottle on his adventure there, but this is literally just what Guts does every single Storm game. He just TPs the towers, gets the kill, walks back to mid. TP the tower, walk back, get the kill, get the rune, walk back, get the kill. It's just clockwork for him at this point. I kind of need to get a counter for how many games he has.
Nico does have a DD rune, but still afraid to get too aggressive onto that Storm, and rightfully so. Scourge top lane will be able to chase down the Dark Willow. Oh, one more auto attack. Fine skill. He gets Rupture now. Oh, if you'd got it on the skewer, it would have been huge, but through the Bramble Maze ends up doing a ton of work there. Hiko gonna try and TP on out. Do they have the damage? They do, just barely. Thanks to the rotation in from the Pango. Okay, that was so close to being a disaster for Scourge.
Yeah, I know. Almost gets taken out by the damage from the skewer. And yeah.
They go to get aggressive. This time, turn their attention over to Serum. He could also try and TP on home, but for now, deciding against it. They're going to Flame Break him back into the Firefly, and that will be a kill onto the Enchantress. Mini, pretty happy that his support tanks the gank for him.
It doesn't have to TP away either. Feels pretty cool, but that's where 10 seconds, back onto the rune fight.
Yep. B-God rotating back towards mid. He's got, of course, the CM aura, Clarity running, a good ward here to try and keep some vision on this bottom rune. But it's going to be an illusion top. Not the most terrifying rune for a Storm Spirit to get, but happy to get the rune nonetheless.
You know, just something to maybe survive if he has to end up tanking a Blood Rite or something. That's the only thing I can really picture. Maybe a Frostbite as well. That'll probably come into play more often, but it's just interested to see what Guts ends up going for after his treads, if he backpedals for the Soul Ring, or if he decides that it's just the Kaya that he needs to get this game going, because every Storm plays a little bit differently.
So you're level 6 here on Nick. You've got to try and make the play out of the Wraith King before he gets his, right? B-God goes for it, doesn't quite make it in range. He's still got Sticky Napalm. Oh, it expires, and there's going to be the Wraith Fire Blast, and once again the rotation in from Guts. He's looking to get on top of Nick here, and he's going to be able to do it. They get the big kill. Pango comes in, Rolling Thunder coming through. Trying to chase after Guts. That's the big kill that they want. He has the Illusion Rune. He might be able to try and get himself a little bit of health here, but nicely done. Nico able to finish him off. And with Pingu here as well, trying to find the kill onto that Conqueror. We'll be able to do so, but with the last breath, gets the stomp out. And they're going to chase for more. Nico, oh my goodness, the impetus damage. That's 3 points. Okay. Big win in the bottom lane here.
Oh, he barely got the enchant off in the middle of that swash as well. He's just a little bit too slow, but honestly, even though you still lose the Storm Spirit, he's just going to TP back out to the lane. I feel like he does not care, or even just zip out to the lane. That was not bad at all. And that's your active heroes. You still have the lasso at the very least, so maybe Nick can walk over to somewhere, but Nick's really struggling to find the target he wants to kill, and this is not that bully Bat Rider. You want to be kicking out the Wraith King right now. You do not want to be getting what is effectively just the table scraps, because Mini's going to get to the point where he just pushes in the wave and then retreats to the jungle and then doubles you up in net worth, which is not what you want to see.
Yeah, and he's super high level now. Like, after those kills in the bottom lane, especially the one under the Pango, he's just finished up way higher XP, and Nick just gets caught by the Conqueror, and Sarah, 4 points in impetus, just dumping this damage into the Bat Rider. He's got him. This is a carry now. This Enchantress is level 7, man. Pingu rotating in. Tower is gone. They have no way to take down the Enchantress here. And Mini's looking for him. He's going to have that Wraithfire Blast in one. And it's just a matter of time. There it is. Enchant comes through. I'm sure if they need it, Aegis does not. Dude,
that's really funny.
Enchantress is huge.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. I mean, there's only one path for every Enchantress, but once you get there, I mean, you're so obnoxious. And look at him. He does not care. He says, Nico, hey, what's up? Kill me. Try. I think Nico will eventually get it.
B-God can kill him. That's the hero that can kill this guy. If there's anyone that can make it happen, it's the Marcy. So they do finally punish Serum here on his Enchantress. A little bit of gold and XP going their way.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Look at Mini.
The Dire Glyph is now active.
Baiting the high ground just a little bit, just a wee bit. But I think Mini is just completely happy now. He just gets to retire to the Farm Fest. And unless there's, what, 2 or 3 cores smoking onto him, they just don't have enough abilities. That's where they really need to shift focus towards this Magnus, and
they will do exactly that. There's the Rupture, and that stun is definitely not even close. SMD kind of rushing the gun there a little bit.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like you're going to want to get more active, but this is a tough situation to be in now. Magnus is not going to rotate out. He is just going to sit in his lane until his Blink Dagger's done, but as I say that, his Blink Dagger's done. He's completely greeted out for it. He's not gotten any
Oh,
in-between
the
items.
chain
from
stuns. Can they hold Guts in place? They can. Beautiful setup there by B-God. He's being a little greedy on this, but ends up getting the invis.
No way. Is he going to get RP'd? I mean,
Yeah, no, he's
Mag is here.
They're just going to kill him. Serum's on the backside too, but I mean, with both those heroes dead, there's not really any damage to throw into this.
Yeah, and now they ping out the Blink Dagger. They know that the Magnus has this, and now Heiko's in a really tough spot. Also, look at Heiko's build.
Nick just got reincarnation bottom, and he's still got the lasso. He's gonna pull him into the Bloodseeker. RP though comes through, plus the Storm Spirit. That's what we were talking about. The blink damage coming through. They take down SMD as well. Nico trying to see if he can finish off the Wraith King, but the armlet toggle is gonna make it way too hard. And B-God now trying to get away from Guts. I don't think that's gonna happen. Just a couple more auto attacks, finish him off. A big trade in the bottom lane here. In top lane, it doesn't stop. Pingu trying to take down Serum, but he ends up hurricaning himself away. So a little cheeky play there from the Enchantress.
Yeah, I know. I'm still bewildered. I can't believe that Heiko just walks into what is effectively the best RP he could have found onto 2 cores. That probably shouldn't have happened, but it just works out for him. That ends up being his reveal, which was initially botched, but they just go a little bit too far away from Nico. He has roles still. He has abilities. He wants to get involved in this game. He just finished his defusal as well, but you walk away from your own carry. Yeah, that skewer. Ooh.
I love that that was lame. It's a good voice line. Net worth wise, there is a huge difference between Mini and the rest of the heroes in this game. He is towering over the net worth, even after what looked like a pretty rough start to his lane stage. And he's almost got his Deso completed after the armlet. Like, he is going to have a lot of damage to dump into these heroes. I don't know what really can stand up against him in these fights.
Yeah, no, it's where even once Scourge has his BKB on the Bloodseeker, it is still just going to be him kiting around. It's where after the BKB, do you think about an AC? Do you think about a butterfly? It's where you really have to rack your brain itemization-wise, because you've got a lot of problems right now if you're the cut. And I don't think Scourge can necessarily fulfill any of them with the hero he's been given this game. It's where I think a lot of that is going to come back to Nico and really just him getting a Blink Dagger and an Ag Shard and then just kind of carrying this game. And the skewer?
Oh, he's got him. Yep. Nice play here from Pingu. Terrorize is actually not going to connect. Dark Willow ends up missing it, and ton of damage coming through thanks to that freezing field. And they're going to chase for more potentially. No, they'll just settle for the 2 heroes. They're going to get that mid tower. I mean, this was RP as well. Like, these were huge finds.
Yeah, they did not respect what the cut were bringing to this fight, and the cut also just immediately waterfalled in there. That was a pretty sick rotation coming in, but this is also during a time where both Guts and the Wraith King are just kind of chilling top. I think Guts was even showing in waves during that time, so that RP just kind of comes out feeling very, very hollow. I don't know, it just definitely seemed a little bit weird, but at the very least, the cores didn't get involved pretty much at all there. Guts and Mini both kept on farming during that entire time, and Guts even nabbed an Arcane Rune, but I feel like it's smoke time if I'm Hannes and Guts.
You would think they would try to make something happen here, right? I mean, they've got the Magnus as well. I think, okay, they're just going to go into Roshan instead. The question is, the cut, if they don't scout this out, I mean, they're definitely not going to scout it out. This thing's pretty much dead.
Yeah, this is one of those leads that you just don't expect, right? You don't expect the Wraith King to have a 15-minute armlet Deso, and then you just immediately kill the Roche because Mini is way too farmed, because he has 9,000 gold at 16 minutes. Because that is not allowed. That's illegal. But that's also where I do wonder if the smoke is necessarily going to grab what they want. Or unfortunately, they can't afford to go too deep. Almost wish they just kind of walked out of the pit and then immediately just hit this tier 1 tower mid, because now I don't know what this smoke is necessarily destined for. It could be a smoke just towards that bottom rune, but as we see, they're just probably going to take this rune and then back up towards that high ground, and then I feel like a team fight could kind of fall apart for them if they're not too careful here.
Mm-hmm. So Nico's going for the Blink Dagger on the Pangolier after the defusal. Do you think that's the play, or do you think he needs like a basher or something more along those lines this game? Oh, Guts goes in, trying to find his initiation. Does find this Storm, or I'm sorry, the Crystal Maiden. The root doing work, though, preventing Begon from getting that rebound on out. And now Batrider caught off onto the side as well. Oh, they'll take down quick 2 kills.
Yeah, now they get to refocus. It was kind of a bait as well with Mini showing it in on that tier 2. It felt like maybe they wouldn't take a fight without the Wraith King getting involved, but now this is a free tier 1. Yeah, I think they need the Blink Dagger on the Pango just so he can at least get 2 hits off guaranteed on these supports. Because without these supports dying, I just don't think there's anything they can do. They're already getting torn apart by that Wraith King, but Mini can only stand 1 target at a time. It's the only issue with his hero this game. So if you could take out the Dark One and the Enchantress, maybe you can keep the rest of the team fight together, but that's also where the timings are kind of syncing up for the cut here. The one thing that's lagging behind is that BKB on the Bloodseeker, but once he has that, it's going to be the cut's turn to make any play happen, because as things stand right now, this is just both the Magnus and the Wraith King getting fabulously farmed, and you're not really finding that same counterplay on the cut side.
Dire's top tower
They see
is
Begon
under
and Nick
attack.
here in the mid lane. They're able to try and bait this one out, and though they just go instead for the aggressive play as Guts is going to find Pingu on the backside as well. Crystal Maiden, starts out with that freezing field. Not a lot of mana left on Guts. He's going to have that Aegis, though, to work with. And if they chime this Rolling Thunder correctly... Yeah, they do indeed. They're able to get the first stun, the blink onto the second, but Guts able to survive. No, he does connect. They get the kill. You lose Scourge in the process. Marcy now super low, chopped down by Mini. So yeah, you do get the Storm Spirit, you get the Magnus, but it still costs you 4 heroes at the end of the day.
Top tower
It's just not worth it.
Yeah, and they instigate that fight just underneath complete NoRunes vision. They just don't get that ward back. With Pingu dying so early, he got caught walking to kill the ward. That's why Guts kind of jumped him there. But also, I feel like Guts kind of messed up. He short zipped. Probably could have survived even past that Pango, and then it would have been an absolute huge win for them. But okay, the respawn timers are short. Mini's got to be a little bit careful here.
Yeah, they're trying to force that reincarnation. They have Aegis after, or Aegis, they have the lasso to follow this one up.
Oh, no.
He just didn't have mana. He was 4 mana short.
no.
Never mind. Okay, well, that'll do it. And now they can just chase down the Enchantress instead. Diffusal Pango, pretty good with the swashbuckle. Who would have guessed? And Nick still looking for more. He's got a blink in 3. But doesn't. Oh, never mind. He is going to see Hannes there on the Dark Willow. And that's going to set up for pretty nice initiation from Nico. But punished here by Guts and Rolling Thunder. Nah, not going to be able to do much of anything. Nick trying to help finish off the Willow. They will be able to do so. And it's now time to run.
Yeah, I don't know. That Wraith King, it's such a simple mistake to make. The funny thing is, the only reason he actually dies there is because he was toggling, because he didn't want to die underneath the tier 2, because he knows he gets lassoed there. So he's pretty much dead either way, but one gets lassoed and the other doesn't, as Guts calls back another kill. Poor Pingu.
Yeah. He tried to go for the, frostbite into freezing field again, but he just dodges it out and ends up, unfortunately, kind of wasting the freezing field.
Oh, still, though. Getting the return kills, Guts is still accelerating pretty quickly. Definitely a botched death on the Wraith King, but at the very least, you're still accelerating your Storm Spirit forward. Does just get the Kaya Sange, no Soul Ring, not too many of the other items that Storm Spirits tend to buy here, but it's also Scourge BKB time. This Bloodseeker is ready to game. He's ready to make those long fights happen. One thing they do have to be very cautious of, though, is if he is a little bit too out far in front, very simply, you pop your BKB. That's the one thing Magnus is okay just solo RPing. Every time you see that early BKB committed, you RP him, you walk away, you get the reset, and then suddenly you are incapable
Oh,
of
they got
fighting.
Nico.
As
Oh, he gets the
smoke-
blink. Nicely done there. Quick reaction there from Nico. I think if it were not daytime, definitely gets caught there.
Oh,
Oh, all right. Terrorize connects, catches him on the Bramble. I mean, there's just no follow-up here, though. And Nick wanted to have a little fun. Now Nico is going to try and punish him. Gets the roll-up. And they'll take down. I mean, it's a little bit of a commitment. Rolling Thunder doesn't have too long of a cooldown, so you'll settle for that. And he's queuing up the Aghanim Scepter next.
yeah, and I'll be honest, I like the Aghanim Scepter. I understand why it's important and why it's great, but I also can't really underestimate how good an item like Aeon Disc in this game for the Pango. I feel like if you were in a more difficult position, that item's just so good this game, where you just always get the curl up, you always get the roll off. I feel like that's where you just become an unkillable monster. And then you force the Wraith King to get a Nullifier as well, which is never an item that carries like to go for too early.
Yeah,
Have to see.
absolutely.
Because I feel like that's definitely a turnaround he can look for. But as we've been in many positions in our games today, we're just kind of waiting. The first Aegis was lost a little bit too quickly, so we're in this kind of downtime where neither team can really make a play because they don't have enough strength to make that next objective happen.
And Mini's got the AC completed now as well, so he is feeling very strong. No real blink on him, so he doesn't really have a way to like get into the fight right away. He's going to be relying on like Hiko as well as the Storm Spirit to try and do that for him. Top lane, Arcane Rune going to be picked up here as the cut are smoked up. I'm curious, who takes it? Okay,
Definitely Nico, but they're baiting it so hard. They want it, and Mini
Ooh,
is
they found
showing.
Mini. There's going to be the lasso right away, but a big response from Hiko is going to do a lot of damage onto the other side. RP's there. Wraith King's actually stuck up onto the high ground. He needs help. He's going to try and TP on home. They have no way to cancel it. He's going to be fine. He lost the Magnus, about to lose the Dark Willow as well. Wait, Mini actually TP'd into the mid lane. He's just going to get ran at. B-God's here as well. It's going to be on the other side of this fight that Guts takes down Little Nick, but you're going to lose your Wraith King potentially. And yeah, there it is. B-God finding the kill. Crystal Maiden here finds Enchantress. Holding in place the Freezing Field is there as well. Triple kill for the Pango. That Arcane Rune doing work in this fight.
Yeah, it's just a massive mistake, honestly, from the Wraith King. And for a second there, it felt like the Cuts were the ones making the mistake because they let him out. But at the same time, it's the RP that's just a little bit too rushed. You get two, but you can't do damage to one of them. It's just a Rolling Thundered Pango. You end up trading out your heroes in a pretty unfavorable fashion. And yet again, the only one to kind of feel okay with that fight is Guts. But the Storm Spirit isn't doing enough because, well, simply he can't do enough. It's just the way that that hero functions now. You can really only do one or two big plays in a team fight before you're tapped. And unfortunately, I feel like the game is playing against Guts right now.
Yeah, I mean, they've managed to even up this game, you know, gold-wise. XP, a pretty huge advantage, actually, for the side of the Cut here. Win percentage still favoring the side of NoRunes as far as Dodo Plus is concerned. I don't know if it's quite 70-30. I'd say it's maybe 60-40, but at the moment, I mean, if they can manage to continue finding like these really big pickoffs and fights on the side of the Cut, they can definitely pull this game back, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult once Wraith King gets to level 16. Or, I'm sorry, level 18.
Yeah, that's going to be a big issue. I don't know. I still really disagree with Mini just very stubbornly not going for the Blink Dagger. I feel like it would just put so much less pressure on his Magnus in this game if he could just start his own engagements. Because as it stands right now, every hero that he wants to hit in a team fight needs to be brought to him or needs to be disabled by the Storm Spirit. And I feel like that's just kind of breaking the back of some of these initiations that NoRunes have been going for. Meanwhile, the Cut are so careless. They get to be careless. They throw all their abilities out, and then the lineup kind of just plays itself. But it's that ease of execution that we talked about in draft where NoRunes just have a much more difficult lineup to play around. And here's the smoke.
Oh, they're going to see two here on the backside. Huge freezing field from Pingu. Nice RP from Hiko. There's going to be the rupture. The buyback instantly from the Dark Willow. Guts goes in, trying to do what he can, but the question is, can he survive the BKB? Doing some work, but Scourge is just beating him down, trying to do what he can on over to the Wraith King, but it's the Enchantress on the high ground that's doing most of the damage here. Nico gets the Rolling Thunder off, trying to stay on top of Mini. Will grab that first life, but he needs to leave now. Very close fight there. If they managed to get the storm, it would have been huge, but the BKB keeping him in that game. Ends up being a 3-for-2 with the buyback, or I'm sorry, a 2-for-2 with the buyback of the Dark Willow.
Yeah, no, ends up not really being costly for either side. And large part of that was because Nico was still top. He had to really rush over to make that fight kind of happen, even though the rest of his team was smoked making that engagement. But at the very least, you were able to get Scourge out of there, because a second longer, he would have been caught without his BKB, stuck in brambles, in really just a horrible situation. But at the same time, that's still a level 2 reincarnation you just put on CD. And yeah, stole the DD. Storm's quick.
Good pick up there. Very strong rune for them. We'll have to be a little bit careful. And then Roshan's respawning in about 15 seconds, so that rune could play a very big role in this next fight.
And I can only imagine that now Nico looks at items like the Basher. I feel like now, once everybody's looking at BKB and you have the Ags already, like, it's time.
It's a really good Basher game. Like, for both Bloodseeker and Pango, like, this is like an absurdly good Basher game. Like, it's one of those items that like makes Wraith King like really struggle because he likes to just stand his ground and chop you with these giant crits. But if you just keep bashing him with like the super fast attack speed you have on both these heroes, like I don't know if you can actually play the fights.
No, and now with Roche, the stakes are as high as they've ever been in this game. Scourge gets the bottom wave in. Both waves are actually pushing into NoRunes' side. They should be able to deal with mid, but this is a perfect smoke. Reincarnation will be up in 15 seconds, so the Wraith King should be fine. But Sarah?
Down by Begon, just going to get blown up there. Good find. It's pretty low commitment, too. It's just going to be the Unleash. They're going to ping out the Roshan. Quick D-ward as well. They actually don't know where the enemy ward is. We're on the high ground here in the mid lane.
And they got to be careful.
They're still smoked on Little Nick. They're thinking about going up onto the high ground. They're going to try. Mini, he's here on the side, but so is Hiko. Big RP. He manages to catch the two. The Terrorize come through as well, but Nico with the Rolling Thunder trying to interrupt things. Magnus goes down. Big freezing field here from Bingu. And there's the lasso onto the Storm Spirit. Can they bring him down in time? He cannot. He's going to be able to TP on out. But again, it's just, there's no follow-up damage to these RPs. The Wraith King can't get into fight.
Yeah, no, he just has to kind of sit there and watch. They literally need to be brought to him, but because he gets stunned up by the Pango in the middle, and that was a Pango roll that felt bad. That was only on the Magnus and then kind of the tail end ending up on that Dark Willow, but that was just rolling on top of a BKB'd Storm Spirit and an already dead Magnus, but it's enough because he doesn't get the skewer off, he doesn't get to enable the Wraith King in the fight, and Mini is stuck walking around effectively in circles because he cannot find a target to stick onto. And now I think this Roche is still going to be contestable for NoRunes. I think Guts will be able to get here in time, but this is going to be a huge risk. He's going to have to put himself at huge risk to make this kind of play happen. And Mini still not having his BKB. He's trying to finish before this Roche actually goes down so that way he doesn't die in his second life, but he'll pretty much have to throw his body at the cut to make this contest possible.
They have pretty much committed everything on the cut, right? There's no BKBs left. There's no real ultimates. It is possible. You're right. They could definitely try and defend this. It's just, I worry that if they go in with this, if they try to contest this Roshan and they die on Mini's Wraith King twice, I feel like this game just completely crumbles for them.
Now, that's the beginning of the spiral.
Yeah.
A spiral that, honestly, they kind of orchestrated very nicely here as we get everybody back in the lobby. But at the same time, you also need Sarem here pretty much now to get these D-wards going. Otherwise, there is no shot that they make anything happen. And Sarem does have a pretty easy time just walking up. There's even a sentry already pre-placed to get rid of these wards. But here we go. I'm surprised Nico's not in the pit right now. They're looking for the kills instead.
He pops the haste, goes up. They're thinking of just trying to finish off the Enchantress. She pops that Hurricane Pike to try and give her a little bit of space. Do they actually have the magic damage for this? Mini just finally chopping away here at Begon. They've just been baited by the Enchantress, but Mini is going to pop the BKB, see what he can do, gets on top of the Pango. Does he have the damage? His roll-up is available. Swashbuckles for the moment, but the Storm comes on through, able to finish him off, and now this is the big bad Wraith King you were worried about. He's finally able to connect onto these heroes. Ends up being a double kill for Guts, and they're going to walk right on over to that Roche, finish this one off.
And
Mini getting the tips for sure.
I kind of at a loss for words. The cut gave Mini the fight that he's been searching for the entire game, and Nick, he's looking for his steal if he doesn't.
He has nothing. It just gets skewered up onto the high ground. I mean, it actually kind of saves Little Nick since Guts out of mana completely, but yeah, you're right. They gave him the dream fight. He's been looking for the whole. Wait, Eco. Did he accidentally blink up there?
Okay.
I think he did. I mean, he accidentally blinked up onto the high ground. Maybe he thought the Batrider was sitting up there.
Oh,
wait a minute.
Oh, hey.
Begon? All right, you're not trapped in here with me, sir.
And then he just TP's back to get back on the farm train. But yeah, I don't know why the cut did that. They didn't have BKB on Bloodseeker. They didn't have Rolling Thunder. They were already kind of testing the waters by pulling themselves out of the pit, as opposed to dragging the Wraith King down to join them. I don't know. They did everything wrong. And now Mini has an Aegis. He's got an Ag Shard. His Storm Spirit as well is looking at an Agni Scepter after that one fight. And the
He's
game
super
just
close.
gets more and more complicated now.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see the win probability graph instantly spike up after that one. 86% in favor of NoRunes. And I'd kind of agree. After a fight like that, you have so much momentum now. This Wraith King is not going to be an easy kill target. He's level 20. Level 21, rather. Storm Spirit hitting his 20, has the Electric Vortex duration. And with the Aghanim Scepter that is now completed, it's just going to make the lives that much more difficult for the side of the cut.
No, it's not going to be easy. Also not easy for our players. Apparently there's a lot of lag. I'm not feeling the lag, but you know, maybe my internet's just built different, as they like to say.
Yeah,
But I'm also looking at some of these tier 3 items. I think unfortunately I see a Mindbreaker on Mini, but I don't see one on the Pango. That would be quite the game changer, honestly. Just giving him something to force out that early BKB, because there are no casual dispels right now. And they, of course, they can still farm. I think they're still missing 3 on the cut side. They've just been battling for the past 3 minutes, but that's where I do think they need something to maybe punish the Storm Spirit a little bit more, because Guts has found a few too many fights on his own terms. I think he's getting away with a little bit too much right now. I mean, he's not even looking at it unlike the Lincoln Sphere. It's just been Nick, I think, struggling really hard to find the right target. And I think something the cut really need to do, even though it's hard to say this, but they have to ignore the Magnus a little bit more. Heiko's been getting his 2 3-man RPs, but more or less they've been kind of irrelevant. It might be time to really gun for that Storm Spirit instead, because it just feels like as of right now, Guts has been put under very, very little pressure. Now that he has the Aghanim Scepter, he can just carry a team fight by himself.
Yeah, absolutely. This is when things get really difficult, and yeah, Wraith King eventually will just pick up a Blink Dagger, right? He's gonna get close to it, especially now if he's just sitting on 3,000 gold. The Aegis to boot. It's just, there's so many things going the way of NoRunes now. It's only a 2k gold lead, but it feels like 10, 15 at this point, just because of how much stronger this Wraith King and Storm Spirit are going to be than their, you know, counter cores on the side of the cut.
Oh, and now we're big enough. We can actually kill a lot of these buildings very quickly. It's where Mini, looking at his build, got those skeleton spawn talents. He didn't get the skeleton attack damage, which is, you know, a little sad. I understand Wraith Fire Blast stun duration's pretty broken, but skeletons hurt. If you get all the skeleton talents, it's kind of insane what skeletons are actually capable of. But it's where I guess playing versus the Pango, you know, Swashbuckle is quite the tool. But at least Nico finally hears us. Got the Basher queued up. He will be able to throw out something, just anything to subjugate this Storm Spirit. Because again, I still think he's the problem.
Yeah, I agree. It's like they really needed these Bashers. They honestly would have a Basher already on Scourge had they not decided to take that fight outside of Roche Pit. Like, they could have just either farmed or taken the Roche themselves, and it's really slowed down his item progression. Like, the Basher from Bloodseeker was just like definitely a game-changing item for their team. Same as the Basher on Nico as well, right? If they picked up either of those items, they could fight around them and maybe take these engagements a little bit easier. But now you're like a pretty serious gold deficit.
And I'm kind of like looking around, staring at items, seeing what's coming next. And if only Pingu had like 7,000 more net worth. Seems just one of those characters that just has so much room to grow with any item that you can pick up. Gain the BKB honestly would be so sick in this game, because you don't really die on CM, especially versus Wraith King once you pop the ulti. 20 bonus armor is a hell of a thing.
Yeah, it really
finally,
is.
We're back in.
Okay. Took us a moment, but we got it. So, do you have any idea why he would choose this skeleton spawned over the cleave this game? Does he just feel like he doesn't need the cleave?
Well, he is like getting empowered.
Yeah, it's like, I guess you do have empower, but it is one of those things where if the skeletons are left unchecked for even like a minute pushing a side lane or something, they will just take a whole tower. It is a lot to deal with.
I think it's also one of those talents And me and I think a lot of other people do this, but you take what the spell leveling up gives, and then you look at what the talent does, and effectively giving you 3 more levels worth of skeletons is kind of dumb. You know, it's just like an on paper like gut feeling thing where you're just like, well, that's a lot of skeletons. And this is actually something they do have to respond to. You can't just
Yeah.
let this happen.
That's
They
like I
have
was
to
saying.
come back eventually.
If you don't respect the skeleton army, these things will just take your buildings. And with Mini having an AC Deso, it's just going to be that much faster.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, this tower is falling so fast. They do have a fortification to pop for the moment. It will slow things down a little bit, but again, the skeletons have to get cleaned up here by Nico. Well, actually, they have a second life, so taking a little bit of a moment. They did smoke up on the side of NoRunes here, going through the other side of the jungle. They will see B-God, and Hiko actually misses with that initiation. And Little Nick's gonna turn around and try and bring down this Magnus. BKB's come out. I mean, they just get him so fast. The bash onto the Storm Spirit. Gut's gonna pop the BKB. Try to just zip away. He's up onto the high ground. He's gonna be safe. Wraith King, his first life, obviously in danger, but they're kind of just ignoring him as they focus down these other heroes. And the Incarnation comes through. He's gonna pop his BKB, try and TP on out. He will be successful. The Basher is not quite there, but they get the rest of the heroes as Dark Willow will fade as well. So both cores kind of make it out, but a good fight from the cut. They just kind of ignore the Wraith King. They just kite him around.
Yeah, I'm still bewildered as to why Mini doesn't have a Blink Dagger. He's got 5,000 gold right now. Maybe it's where we finally see him slot out even an overwhelming Blink. At
Yeah,
this
it's like
point to slot
overwhelming
out the
Blink,
Aegis.
right?
Yeah, it just like anything, because it just feels like each time he's becoming more and more of a liability for the rest of his lineup. And we saw right there, Heiko has to blink, initiate, put himself at risk to get the team fight started. And then he gets punished because he's so overextended. And unless Guts is just ready to carry all the weight on his team, I just feel like they're making their lineup so much harder to execute than it needs to be. And we'll have to see, because each mistake like that, I mean, this is not gold that you can just give up for free. Your opponents are still building up quite a lead. And again, as we keep highlighting, you've got Bashers, you've got, I think, Abyssals, Ag Shards, everything to be built up on the cut. And now you're not scared. You're going to feel more confident taking a win-one fight like that. And I don't think it's false confidence either. They can just afford to farm and be a lot more kind of relaxed now, as the cut were until that Roche fight went so poorly for them. I mean, they're out in the river. They really aren't scared anymore.
Nico gets a double damage rune, bottled that one up. Sitting on a little bit of gold himself. I'm going to be surprised if he doesn't just like sell the Orb of Corrosion to just get that Basher, but we'll see what he ends up doing. For the moment though, slight gold advantage. This game has been going back and forth, but the win percentage from Dota Plus has just been constantly in favor of NoRunes this game.
It's got to be the mag effect, right? It's got to be just like the concept of just hitting a perfect reverse polarity. I feel like this game is so even, or at least it feels so even, but it's just the execution aspect that makes it more difficult for the players. Something like that.
Yeah. You look at all these skeletons, man. They're just pushing these lanes. It's actually really difficult for them to deal with.
And Mini does have an overwhelming blink, so there you go. I can stop complaining about it.
It is definitely the item that he needed. It just took too long. I feel like it took too long to get here, but yeah, overwhelming blink is going to completely change his fights.
And smoke coming out for Pingu now. They should be able to make a play happen. This is one of those awkward situations, though, where you really want to save your smoke until the first possible Roche respawn timer, just so that way you can get eyes and then you can really start situating yourself. But that's where really both fives, and actually even the Dark Willow, everybody has held smoke so long in this game, so much so that NoRunes have a little bit of a surplus, in fact, so they can definitely start throwing these away just to get information. And of course, as we keep talking about, this next Roche, it's so important, it's so impactful, it can really start to change this game.
Someone lays blame.
So there is now a Basher on B-God, actually. And the
Oh, man.
Pango is going for an overwhelming blink instead. I mean, Basher Marcy is terrifying. B-God is becoming a real core at this point. He's managed to pass the net worth of the Magnus. And Marcy is no joke. I mean, this hero does a ton of damage and a ton of team fight like utility just once that BKB Unleash comes out. So we'll see what she manages to find. If she can get the Storm Spirit, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, and I mean, 11, 5, and 10. Bigod's performance speaks for itself. He's just been able to find so many supports, so many double stuns as well with the rebound. It just feels like he's constantly able to make those stuns happen. And a little bit of a kind of poke here. Nick goes forward, pops the Firefly. Skeleton's kind of making any type of sneaky play impossible for the cut, but I think that's where now 15 seconds. On paper, the cut would smoke just so that way they can get Nick close enough to napalm the Roche, but then it is going to be a matter of whether or not they feel too comfortable getting close to the pit, because they are not going for split push. Nico's not bottom. They are kind of banking on a team fight to break out here.
And the Roche, it's going to be about 1 minute away, and there's the smoke. The cut, I mean, the team that wins this engagement looks very good for the next few moments. Smoke gets popped. He actually finds Mini. Not really the target you want to start on. If you could find these backline supports, it would be huge. We'll just take back their outpost. Nick gonna have to wait for his Firefly to come back off of cooldown.
That's not bad. Smoke's gonna pop though, and then this is where NoRunes having 3 smokes kind of on the back burner here.
Hey, they are gonna go for Mini.
Oh.
They saw the Enchantress way far back on the other side, and gonna try to start this one out by taking down this Wraith King. If they can do it, it'd be huge. That's gonna be the first life. Nico, he's got that rolling thunder. The BKB comes out, but B-God's there with the Unleash. The RP from Hiko, though, is huge. They got Bashers. If they can hold him in place, the Wraith King can't do anything. They're gonna be able to get down B-God, but it's gonna cost you your Wraith King. That's the big one. And they've managed to find the Dark Willow as well. Pingu with that freezing field, making it work. Serum now on the run, but Little Nick here on this Bat Rider gonna make that just a little bit too difficult. Nico blinks on in, swashbuckles on over, 3 for 1. And just in time for old Roshan.
Yeah, and there's no buybacks. They will be able to buy back on supports if they really wanted to, but I don't think that's going to happen. Without Mini, I feel like this is just going to be kind of a pathetic defense, even though it looks like they're going to feel a little bit too afraid, which is an insane amount of respect that the cut are giving their opponents right now. I understand no BKBs, no ultimates, but at the same time, I feel like this should almost be a fake back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They did manage to just find an arcane rune on Guts, though, which is terrifying. So we'll see if you can manage to make anything happen with that. And they know they're still in Roche. They just saw a sentry ward go down. Boots of Bearing Pop looking for Serum here. He gets the Lotus Orb off. Hiko up on the high ground. He does have the Blink. If they can take down the Enchantress, this is a good one to start it off. There's going to be the dieback. But 15 seconds before the Wraith King is here, you've got to get this Roche, or you got to back, and Guts goes in, gets a huge Vortex onto 2. Scourge gonna be able to pop the BKB. They're alive for now. B-God's gonna do the same, and Hana's not too lucky here. But again, BKBs are now down. Roshan, not really a possibility with the Wraith King coming back up. Little Nick will get the D-Ward. Gets the BKB, the lasso there. Kind of gets reflected. Not really what you want to see. So pretty much every cooldown is down on the side of the cut here, and Crystal Maiden just gets popped, but going a little bit too far. The Basher here on the Sword Spear doesn't have a ton of mana to work with, but Eco, beautiful skewer here, is going to find B-God. Rupture comes in, just deletes him instead. Vortex onto 2, Scourge is coming in. Maybe they'll just bash up this Wraith King. They've got him held in place, and he has no BKB for the second life. The buyback on Nico, it's coming through. Pingu with a huge freezing field, just doing the work, and they've got Mini once again. Without a buyback, he's going to be able to just secure this Roche finally.
And I wonder if they do give it... I feel like you just give it to Scourge just on virtue that he's the only one hitting buildings, but at the same time, I can see them giving it to Nico just to make this game feel even safer, but...
Yeah, he just bought back too, so it's... I feel like it's got to be Nico. He did also go back for the Basher instead of the Overwhelming Blink, which... you and I were talking about was absolutely necessary. You have triple bash on the side of the cut. I mean, I can't stress enough. It is just such a perfect basher game. It gives you everything you need. Hana's here in the mid lane. Gonna have to be careful here. Flame Break connects. They're gonna be able to start burning him down as the Rolling Thunder will connect. Tries to dodge it out for the moment, but not gonna be as lucky.
No, and now I mean, we're getting into that situation where we're going to have to zip cut waves. Are we going to have to skewer them into the fountain? I mean, just feel like this lineup is just not coming together as nicely as the cuts is. And now You are going to start getting cut off. You're at that point of the game. We're going to be at those 25s pretty soon here. Nico's already at his 25, so you're basically always going to have a Rolling Thunder every single team fight. If your team fight drags too long, then you're going to have 2 Rolling Thunders you have to contest with. Double Rupture. I mean, the way that the Cuts heroes grow going forward is just so disgusting, and I don't think NoRunes really have that same type of growth coming for them. I mean, everyone feels so level starved and so farm starved aside from the top.
Yeah, the Rolling Thunder talent this game is just so good. Guts going in onto the high ground. Nico gonna try and chase her. Does he get the bash? He does not. Super unlucky. They will find Serum though, as the lasso will be able to secure that kill. So they get themselves an Enchantress for their worry, but they do manage to force some heroes back, and they actually managed to get a tier 3 tower. Not too bad.
Not too bad. Pretty easy for them as well. Now it's just a matter of getting themselves onto any more of these tier 2s. I think finally the Cut should probably just shoot down mid and shoot down bottom and then just claim the rest and claim the opposing outpost finally. They haven't really been able to play in that on that side of the map for the longest time, just because Roche has been a constant worry for the past, what feels like 20 minutes, even though we haven't seen too much aggression coming out, but the growth is there. And now, I don't know, I'm looking across and I'm really just looking at Heiko on the mag and thinking, what's a man to do? He can't farm any of the waves. Everywhere is too dangerous for him to go. He needs a BKB. He'd love a refresher. It just feels like this Magnus is starting to lose his soul a little bit.
Dude, this Bat Rider having ninja gear is just so strong. It is just such an incredibly powerful item on this hero. And he's not even at his 25. Like, once you have the 25 and you get the 2 Flame Break, like, or Flame Break applies 2 Sticky Napalm charges, like, the supports have no way to play the game. Right? Like, there's no, like, you have the Dispel at least now on the Stormcrafter, but they're just food. You just get caught by a single Flame Break and some Sticky Napalms, and you're just dead.
Yeah.
The talent does so much damage.
Not to mention Nico as well, with the Aegis, also has the refresher shards, so, you know, yeah. It's gonna be a show. Not to mention, all of these Bashers are now starting to turn into Abyssal Blades, and there's one Lincoln Sphere on the side of NoRunes. There's one Lotus Orb. Aside from that, they really don't have that much to defend their cores from just getting absolutely hounded, and I think that's where Guts, he's trying to make it big. He's close to the 25 as well. Again, he's one of the only ones growing on his team right alongside the Wraith King, but I don't know if it's going to be enough here. This has been a pretty slow usage of the Aegis. This is really just kind of to wait out the buyback that they did commit. Don't want to kind of throw away their game by just dying on the enemy high ground, but at the same time, I feel like the lead is starting to ever grow.
Nick goes in, lassos up onto Mini, and B-God is here. They're going to try and force that BKB right away, and they do. B-God responds with his own, and the bashes, they begin. You can't run away from this guy, man. The slow piercing that BKB is just so much, and now Nico rolling in, managed to get the reincarnation. They got Bat Rider, they caught the Crystal Maiden up onto the high ground. She gets the freezing field off, the stuns. They're going to be there to hold her in place, though, but Mini, that's the big target. If they can bring her down, Scourge held in place by the Terrorized. B-God on the other side of the fight, just focused up, but he gets the cheese off. Can they do it? The big RP from Hiko. He's trying to do it, hold his ground, but Mini, he falls at the end of the day. Scourge just too strong here on this Bloodseeker. He's still got an Abyssal Blade ready. It's going to be a slow, painful death for the Enchantress. Hurricane Pike down to the low ground. Nico off the mark there, but the overwhelming blink on forward. Tries to heal herself back up, but it's just too much. A big fight there once again for both teams, but it's going to be the Cut that comes out ahead once again.
Yeah, these cores are just way too strong. And Scourge, he was actually covered by Nick in that RP. You actually couldn't click on the Bloodseeker there, so of course
I was trying to
take
figure
out the
that out
Bat
too.
Rider. Yeah, it's just Scourge mixed up getting covered by the Bat Rider's body, and then you look at his HP and you're like, well, Scourge isn't dying. He ain't dying to the cleave. It's a great RP as well. They find Scourge, they waste all of his BKB because of that RP. It just doesn't end up mattering because Mini's damage, it's so slow. And something else to look at his build, even though he's got the AC, his attack speed is just not there. He's just not doing that much damage. He didn't even get the 2-second Mortal Strike cooldown, mainly because his build is just not that fast. He's not doing his damage quick enough. And again, it kind of encapsulates that problem that there's just not very much damage being put into that RP. As mid,
Ooh, Nico actually kind of whiffs on the roll up there. And because of it, he's out. Well played by Hannes. Yeah, he kind of jumped the gun on the roll up there. He was too excited, I think.
It's
What's
honestly
his
with-
next item, by the way? Oh, he's going Octarine. Interesting. I was thinking he might just finish the Abyssal, but I guess he's going
I
Octarine.
think-
He's got to sell some items, man. He's got nine items in his
Yeah.
inventory. He's got to get rid of some stuff here.
I feel like Octarine is like all right. I also feel as if like just getting the Ag Synth and then maybe turning your build around and then trying to do something else, like getting, I don't know, even just getting a
It's
Hex.
on the courier. He doesn't even realize it didn't deliver.
It's just Nico
Oh,
things.
Nico. I wonder how long before he realizes. Oh, there it is.
Okay,
It's coming
okay,
back. He's
yeah.
like, wait a minute. All right. Sell some items. Move some things around a little bit. Nico, Rolling Thunder. Gonna find Serum here onto the side. Does have that shield crash onto the low ground. Ends up just getting a BKB out of it. All right. That's pretty fun.
Not too bad. In maybe 40-second CD, you're gonna have that really a lot sooner than that BKB is coming back up. Smoke up though.
Ooh,
Trying to
they got
punish him.
Nico. Can they finish him off in time? The roll-up is available, but the big freezing field on the backside, Nico's able to survive, and Scourge just comes in deleting these heroes on the side.
No.
The Abyssal Blade is going to catch Wraith King. He's got a reincarnation, but the Rolling Thunder, the refresh is there. The server can't handle all these summons, it seems, but Wraith King is gone, man. And with that one, maybe the game, his buyback is available, but you're down 3 heroes. You have
On the win objective.
RP, I guess, when Magnus comes back, and his buyback just came through as well.
Well, you've got double pull too. You've got the refresher. You held on to it for Guts there because there's just no damage that Mini was doing. But at the same time, oh, they're going for it.
Big Vortex, they've caught Scourge. He needs help. He's got that BKB in a moment, but the RP to finish him off. They've caught Little Nick as well. Skewers him all the way back into those tier 4s. Nico, it's time to cut and run, I think, here, sir. Tries to swashbuckle away, but he's stunned up. Wraithfire Blast holding him in place. The cut. That's the wrong base, my friends.
Yeah, the core is just kind of inted on themselves. They didn't have vision. It's nighttime. It's why Guts can make that jump happen so effectively. But yeah, I think it just got too convincingly caught by Heiko there on his own buyback. And it's sure, you know, you now have a win objective. You are able to play for the diebacks on both the Wraith King and the Mag, but that's exactly what they wanted. And that just propelled everybody forward. So many levels just got thrown into NoRunes' hands.
Dude, they just got 16,000 experience and almost 7,000 gold. Bottom lane, Guns finds Crystal Maiden, and that is a dead hero.
And the base
Dude, the
is open.
Timeless Relic combined with the Vortex is actually a
There's
huge
no
problem.
glyph.
Yeah, there is no glyph. Not at all. They already lost their tier 3s. They're going to have to buy back here. This is a huge problem for the side of the cut. Mid lane of Barracks just melted, and they're going to go straight for tier 4s, try and force this one out. B-God does find Serum here. The BKB comes through, going to try and bring down the Crystal, or I'm sorry, the Enchantress, but they just cut and run. Jumps in, Scourge gets the Abyssal Blade onto Mini. I mean, if they can bring down this Wraith King, it's huge, but a Reflected Rupture is going to hold Scourge back. And now Nico, he's coming in, looking for these heroes. See if he can get his hands here onto the Wraith King. They find the Dark Well on the side. There's a big freezing field, but the stun comes through from this Storm Spirit once again. That's a die back there onto Pingu. Wraith King on just a sliver of HP. He's got a blink to go in. He's going to go ahead and use it. Reincarnation, stunning up both their heroes. The Wraith... He's going to come back with a vengeance, but the Storm Spirit goes down. That's going to do the lasso. Mini with the BKB trying to chase down Scourge, but the Bashers, they're here. If they can just fight him, it's okay, but you got to be careful. That Storm's coming back here any moment, but the Rolling Thunder is back off cooldown, and Nico going to cause so many problems here for these heroes. If they can stay on top of the Magnus, there's not going to be a single RP. He's able to get the kill. Mini now with the run. Gets Batch, goes down. That's a dieback. They've done it. In comes Guts, though. He wants to try and finish this game off himself, but he does not have the damage. He's got to run. He's out of mana, though. They have the vision. Nick's going to chase. He pulls him right back in. He stops to call the GG, and there it is. The cut will hold somehow to finish off this game.
I mean, game-winning Abyssal there, just stopping Mini's TP. They had to win the fight. NoRunes had no other option. But then Nico draining the mana of the Magnus, making him almost impossible for him to find an RP there. I mean, it's so close for NoRunes. But then Guts also just having no outlet to get back into the fight. The reason he's even in that position is because he's baiting his buyback almost to try and take aggression away from the Wraith King. I mean, the cut almost lost. They almost lost it
They
in what
almost
felt like a
lost that.
minute,
Dude,
but
the win probability of this game was pretty much always in favor of No Runes, but this last final fight, like you said, the game-winning Abyssal Blade there, managing to find Mini on the Wraith King. Basher was just the item this game. There's just nothing you can do on these heroes once that's up, and they managed to make it work, dude. Really, really well played. Good patience here from the cut overall.
yeah, I feel like they almost gamed themselves there. I mean, they almost lost to Refresher, Storm Spirit, and an RP, but hey, they play their win condition, and they do get the win condition. They kill everybody without buyback. I mean, kind of a dramatic fashion to end the game. I feel like both these teams were really being patient for a while there, and then everybody just decides to kill each other. But okay,
The
time
way
for game
it goes
2.
sometimes, I guess, Yeah, it was good stuff. A lot of fun. We're going to go to a short break, and we'll be back with our final game of the evening. It's game 2 of No Runes versus the Cut. Everyone stay tuned for more here on the BTS Pro Series Season 12. We'll see you in a bit.